Hey, what's up again? Hello and welcome. I screwed it up again. One of these days I'll get it. We're also running late. Sorry about that. We're gonna try to move it. We actually might. We forgot to clarify it with Jen, but we might move it up an hour. Unfortunately, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hey, we're here for the Mando review. Hopefully, it's a good one. Hopefully, people like it. We'll see. We got the usual suspects. We got my co-pilot Solo. Say hi, Solo.
What's up, everybody?
There we go. Yeah, we got to do something today. It's going to be on. So the trooper that always leaks, Leaky Trooper, where you at? Very good. Jen, how you doing?
Good.
Last but not least, Pete's coming back, and it sounds like he's going to be a regular on this, so it should be pretty fun. Hey, we got a lot of stuff to dig into. We're going to go a little bit in order, then we're going to hit some stuff back up. I know people are kind of interested. I know there's been a lot of theories from what I hear has been crafted on certain things, and we're going to give you our take on it. Maybe a little bit in-depth look into some of the things that may have been missed, and even with some of the callbacks, what has happened. Hey, to start it off, it's the Carl Weathers.
Apollo.
Apollo was definitely trying to fight for this one. I think. Okay, yeah. So tough debut for directing. Just say that right off the bat. I think we're unanimous on that fact. Is that true?
Yeah.
Wait, so
It was a little tough.
This was his episode?
This was his episode. Yeah, this was his direct. Yeah. There's certain parts of it that just didn't play well.
The
Obviously,
acting was a little Attack of the Clones-ish.
Yeah, the acting was very rough, especially some of the ways they worded stuff. I know he said that he had given Gina has credited him with acting lessons, and maybe how do I say this nicely? Maybe she should go to Juilliard or something to get acting lessons, because there's a reason why he's always the bridesmaid and never the bride, right?
Except for Action Jackson.
Except for Action Jackson, you're right. Except for Action Jackson. First off, okay, so this is kind of cool. This scene was really cool when they started going through it, and I thought it could have been really good. And then the Marshall thing happened where they were like, the Marshal's coming. It's Marshall. The Marshal's here. And I was like, oh, good Lord. What
They're
are they
going
doing?
all in on the Western, man.
Yeah,
Marshall's
I was hoping
back.
that they would call back to
Again,
Cobb.
Marshall's back. Tell some friends.
Yeah, it's a lot of Marshall. There's a lot of shady there. It was definitely shady. I was hoping that they would have gone to Cobb there. I think if they would have had Cobb Vanth come in and like he would have added on to like his little town's fine or whatever. Now he's trying to help out these guys on a different planet. That would have been cool because you could have reformed them up and had them re-meet. But it wasn't that. It was Cara Dune, who isn't bad. This scene was really cool. Like, this is a good throwback, right? The little gremlin electrocuting himself type scene there. That was fun.
It was cute.
It was like me giving instructions to my son. I
felt that too.
Associated with it.
But Mandalorian had way more patience with him than I did with my kids.
Exactly.
Very patient, the Mandalorian.
I do want to say, as an electrician, it is fun when they don't listen and they electrocute themselves. And it's kind of like, it ain't going to kill you, but you aren't listening. So here we go. Have fun.
That was a lesson for Baby Yoda. It was a good lesson.
We were kind of right on that. We figured the ship wouldn't make it out to wherever it was supposed to go, and it didn't, obviously. With that being said, this was really cool. Like, they actually did maintain the fact that he doesn't, like you saw the child trying to go in there and look at what his face looked like. He really just released the hatch and poured it, didn't even really pull his mask up.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool that they're still trying to keep that, even though I think it was also a hint that, like, would he have done that before he talked to Bo-Katan? Like,
that's a good question.
I think he's changing.
Yeah, I think it's a little hint that he's supposed to be changing. Listen, when I always talk about when you're going to do Easter eggs and stuff about being good about it or being lazy about it. Honestly, I don't think you could have been more lazy than this. This was pretty lazy. Unfortunately, it's pretty lazy
because it was the same voice as the Phantom Menace protocol droid, or just.
The protocol droid, same voice as protocol droid. Just throw it. The school didn't make any sense. Like, I knew we were talking about last week how they had to pawn him off on something, but like your pawn off was you're going to throw this kid on a planet without being protected because you're taking all the protectors off the planet with random people and like a protocol droid that was kind of just corny in the background. Look, the cookie eating thing was really cool. Oh, I didn't download that. The looks that he gave, where he was giving like he kind of gave the dark side look, right? Like, look, buddy.
Oh yeah.
You're just lucky I'm not
a cookie.
Well,
yeah, you're lucky that
like, no, I'm not going to share with you.
Well, what if the droid was actually like had like kind of like the other droid that gave itself for the better of the group? What if there's like a secret program that's like security mode, which is why Cara was like, don't worry about it, it's fine.
Oh,
that'd be sweet. Like little like missiles come out of his shoulders, like little missile launchers. That would be.
So you guys are getting to something that I might, when I was putting the pictures in here, I originally called this lazy, so I'm going to call it lazy, but later on we're going to hit up on some other droid that may have a link to this episode, and I think it wasn't as lazy if that's the effect that they're going to have. The next one is obviously this. We were wrong. We thought they were going to break him out of prison. Obviously, they just unfroze him off carbonite, but really cool. He did an excellent job. The only thing that was poor was the back and forth between him and Weathers. Did you guys find that entertaining at all, the Carl Weathers and him back and forth? Or
well, I had one thought: how Grief Karga has all these carbonite guys. Whenever he needs a new staff member, he just gets them out of storage and unfreezes somebody, and he's got a new worker. I thought that was good.
Who is this actor?
It's Horatio Sands.
Who is that?
From SNL, and he used to always break and be laughing with Jimmy Fallon when they would do bits.
They do the night desk.
Okay. Yeah.
In Road Trip, he threw the French toast into his pants.
Yes.
Every time he talks, all I can picture is the guy from Jaws. Freaking is that
Richard Dreyfuss?
Richard, yes,
I was thinking
Richard Dreyfuss.
Yep.
He reminds me so much of
Ricky.
Richard Dreyfuss. Every time he talks, I swear it's Richard Dreyfuss.
Well, in his motions and the way he acts too, it's like the doctor right out of Jaws.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the biggest tell of the whole show. We all saw it. I think we all saw this as being a character that had a little bit of shit. So that once again, that was. Go ahead.
That whole mask is kind of a ripoff. Well, the lower half of it's sort of a ripoff from like Enemy Mine. I don't know if you guys remember Enemy Mine, but
Louis Gossett.
Lou Gossett Jr.
Doesn't this guy look like the guys that worked on the ship in Revenge of the Sith on that one planet? Remember the guys that were General Grievous and Obi-Wan hooked up?
This alien's been around before. I've seen this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the Utopes. I don't think that's what that is. I will say this, like Cara Dune, she is the Jean-Claude Van Damme of Star Wars. Great when it comes down to action scenes. Should probably limit the amount of actual vocalization she does, because some of that was rough.
Well,
and she doesn't even have the unintelligible French accent like Jean-Claude.
Did you guys ever see the movie Haywire?
Yeah.
So in the movie Haywire, like if you listen to it, that's not her voice for like most of it.
Oh, they overdubbed her.
Yeah.
Ooh, brutal.
I think it's just the rookie director, Carl Weathers, not knowing if he got the delivery right when they're done, filming. So
yeah,
that.
I don't want to give away the grading right away, but I was really disappointed. By the fourth viewing, I had already expected that, so I kind of got away from being so disappointed from that, and it kind of made it a little bit more enjoyable. I also didn't like this part. Like, they had the speeders going down there, and then they did the like Endor blow up thing where they kind of hit each other. And like, I get it, man, but that's kind of like, I like some of the direction they've been going with a lot of these new directors. And unfortunately, and I really wanted his to be good, right? Because we saw other people's that their first directorial debut here was good. And I just, man, if that. If stuff didn't happen in this episode that did happen like later on, the first half of this episode was a little brutal, man. To be honest with you, it was kind of tough.
Well, I have a question. Like, how much of this do you think, when you were saying it's the directorial debut, with the volume and everything they're doing, like that scene you just showed with the bike troopers? I mean, how much of this is on the director, and how much is this in post-op, right?
Yeah, that's not even. He probably has no control.
A lot of post-production kind of remote. So
I would agree with that. I would agree with that. But if you were watching the Star Wars, the behind the scene part, they were saying that they were giving, like, if you get first time director, you also get to hands on with the post. So maybe they changed it. Maybe that's not what they did with it. But I think, yeah, you're right. The direction part where they were trying to give their lines and all that type of stuff definitely was his fault.
Yeah.
With some of this post, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, it was written. Some of it was written kind of corny, and maybe in post it wasn't the best. Not once again, I don't think the best overall episode that I had. You know what? We could get in. I mean, one more scene like this one where it was the pod racer. The play on the pod racer was lazy. You know, I know this right here. So let's talk about this, Paul, because you were saying how you like you watch a lot of westerns and.
Yeah, I mean, I get what they were trying to accomplish here, right? The New Republic, they're brand new. They don't have too many guys. I think, I don't know, in the previous episode, are these the only two TIE Fighters, X-Wings monitoring the Outer Rim? So he says we need local support. They want to kind of put local law enforcement in. So I get that, but and you're going to show this next. When they called her Marshal and then they literally give her a New Republic badge, I was like, oh, guys, that's a little going too on the nose, too all in on Westerns.
Yeah, but it could also be it could also be a split off. Like this whole thing about that whole portion where he's in the office talking about it and what you said about getting that. Remember, this show is going to spawn off a bunch of shows. And one of the spawn offs they could have are the Marshals Service or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Organizing in the Outer Rim. So you'll get to see tons of new planets, tons of new aliens, and they'll travel from planet to planet because Mandalorian obviously has to end at one point. So it's kind of cool to see where they're going. I just thought how they shot, like, unfortunately for this character, I think they're letting her fail in a lot of ways. Like, this is a typical Western scene right here, but it's usually when you shoot it, once again, a directorial problem, you don't shoot her to make her look short.
Right.
When you shoot it, it's always the sheriff or the outlaw on the top of a deck, and you shoot from bottom up to make them look more powerful, to make them look stronger, to make them look like they're going to do something. Yeah. If the goal is to make her go into another series, you're not doing her any favors. You need to make her more stand-upish and more powerful.
They either have her in the sheriff's pose, but she actually looks like 6 inches shorter than the Republic pilot.
Yeah. I will say, out of the other ones, I wasn't always in love with the child, but like the child really starred. I mean, he was the star. There was a lot of.
Well, they gave him a lot more to work with, and I almost wonder if they upgraded last season's puppet because
I think so.
How expressionful. Dang it, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, how puppeteers are using more expressions. They probably did. They added some to it. They've been known to do that, especially to upgrade it, which is kind of cool that they were allowed to do that. Okay, now let's get into some of the big parts. So we were leaving that to get into some of the big parts. Inside, obviously, what we thought could have been a detention center or it was an Imperial base, which was kind of cool. That's why there was two different types of troopers there. The one thing I didn't understand was this. If they can push this up, they never destroyed it. He flew away. Why wouldn't the troopers just reassemble and push out the lava?
It could have been too late.
That's what I thought they did. Like, I thought they were going to do because after Mando took off, they're like, "Hey, look at this," and it's like, but then we didn't go back to that scene, so I assume that it was too late.
I guess maybe it's a pump. You just turn the pump back on and pump the stuff out. Like, and if you see him in that shot, he flies by, doesn't do anything. They just look at each other and kind of shrug. Either way, then
being a leaky trooper, the stormtroopers are not the brightest guys in the galaxy, right?
I'll give you that.
They don't know what's
smart enough to go check it though.
They probably thought that was a moisture evaporator, so they probably didn't even know what it was.
So then we get back into some of the good stuff, though. And it actually happens to be like a lot of their you think a lot of these callbacks are coming from the first season, which they kind of are, but they intermingled this with a lot of stuff, and we'll get into it. So we get the hologram because they figure out that this is not this when they're going into the section is actually a lab. Once again, a lab, not a prison, which is kind of cool. And you get to see this figure right here, which we have some debate over of what this is. With this figure here, I don't know. What do you guys all think it is? Because these were in a bunch of tubes. Is it okay. So from what I heard, somebody had told me they think this is because we were on it. Me and Solo were on a show last night, and they're like, "Yeah, the Snook thing." And they're like, "The Snook thing." And they're like in the tubes.
Snooki
like
from Jersey Shore.
Yeah, I was like, or Snoke. Sorry, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Snoke. Like, I don't think that's what it is. I think technically what it is, and I'll explain it now. The difference between the Death Troopers and the Dark Trooper programs. Okay, there is a program. There's a Death Trooper program, and the Death Trooper program was part of the Tarkin Initiative, and you're going to hear a little bit more about this later. But in the Tarkin Initiative, they were Imperial volunteers that were like the top of their class. Well, at one point they started to try to manipulate them a lot, like they did with the Bad Batch and Task Force 99 or whatever it's called. And so they started trying to make modifications to these people. And I think that's what they were doing there, because when they talked about it, who was it that brought up the point where they said, was it you? We took volunteers and the volunteers haven't been working or something to that? What was do you remember what the line was?
Yeah. So he literally said the donor's blood, which is the child, and every volunteer they tried with it, they all died. But they were injecting them with midichlorians, right? So for the Force, basically.
Yeah, well, and blood. So who knows if it's the blood that they can't take because it's a alien blood adapting into human. So the volunteers, we assume, are human volunteers. Those human volunteers being, Imperial troopers that qualify for the Death Trooper program. And that's where you start getting these mutations, what look like the cancerous cells or the growths on those beta tanks. And those tanks, I believe, are part BACA and part like fluid. Like, I think that's what it is. That's where it's there. And that's why they have so many that are monitoring it. I don't think it's, I know another theory that originally you could have had, and I probably would have too, was like they did at one point in Star Wars for the clones, because the clones deteriorated so fast, they tried to make these slower clones that they had put into these tanks and slow down how fast they mutate. But if you were creating clones, why would you need volunteers? You see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. And I don't think that guy was mincing his words when he was saying the volunteers. So I really do think that's what it was. And that's really cool if they're doing that.
So can I throw out my crazy, it's not even a conspiracy theory. It was just something they said to Marco. I said, for a second, when I looked at the helmets, they had the little triangle on it. And I'm like, they're not trying to make Death Troopers. They're trying to make Darth Troopers.
Yeah. Which might be what it is.
Force, an army of Vaders or whatever.
So Kev brings up something and says, I think Snoke is the first successful surviving experiment. The only problem I have with that is Palpatine has to be in a body already.
Isn't he on Exegol?
Yeah. But he might be, even if he's not an Exegol, he has to be in a body already. Because he technically, when he threw down the shaft, which was 10 years before this, 9 years, 10, 11, somewhere around there. When they threw down the shaft, right at the end of the shaft where you see the lightning thing, that's when he force pushed himself into another body under the working theory of how that's supposed to work. So
I think that's why they literally went out of their way to call them volunteers, to tell you these are not clones. These are guys that they injected them with something. Yeah. They didn't clone, I took that as why they literally called them volunteers.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we all kind of took that portion of it. Anyways, get back to it though. Like, another cool scene, and this kind of ties into where our theory is going to go with this one, is where you see this ship right here, the whatever it's called. Pete, do you remember what this is? Aquarius class or whatever it is?
Nah, I can't remember.
This is the ship that you saw General Kenobi on in the Clone Wars. Huh. Thrawn used this ship during the Galactic Empire era, where he did like this move where he used it kind of almost as a decoy. So it's been around to there. And now it's going into the third session, like the right into the Force Awakens session, to say that these are still around. It's kind of cool to see that they actually still have these, which was kind of a cool Easter egg. Also, it could placate into a couple of other things, like certain generals that are out in the atmosphere or admirals that might come to find this type of ship because they're looking for these types. But inside, obviously, was one of the coolest things of the show. That's the guys. Let's do this first. So we go and we see your Darth Vader troopers or whatever you want to call them.
I like when I wrote you because I was like, when I first saw them, I thought of Death Troopers, and I'm like, are they Death Troopers or Dark Troopers? And then we talked a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, and we'll go through that a little bit, but this is what I want to show you. This guy, I think, is the key. The guy in the white right here. If you look at his uniform, and this is kind of a throwback, and a lot of this episode had a lot of parts of this. I didn't go through them all, but it's Rogue One.
Yeah.
These, if you remember when Jyn Erso's dad's up there, these are all the engineers that came out of it. They were working on what became the Tarkin Initiative, or the Empire Military Department of, what is it, Defense Weapon, or whatever the IDP, whatever the heck the abbreviation for that is. That's actually the symbol they have on them.
Imperial Science Division or whatever.
Yeah, it's a weapons advancement or something like that. It was who built the Death Star, who looked into. They had the 975 troopers were part of it, which was pretty much the first initial like rewrite of of Death Troopers. So it was the human version of it. So when they had done these, like, if we'll talk about Death Troopers first. Death Troopers were always robots except for the last one. The last one was an exoskeleton. The exoskeleton was technically only worn by one person, the guy who's in charge of the program, which wasn't Tarkin at the time in the old world. I think they might still do that. I think these suits, these are suits. I think they're dark. I think they are. We've already seen the Death Troopers. I think they're going to be Death Troopers in here. I think the people that are volunteers are going to be, they're going to show modified ones. I think they might actually even, like, that whole portion of them in the tubes was a reference kind of to this guy, Kylo, who is already he's already been working on this type of advancements onto enhanced people. Now, he betrayed the Emperor and, like, kind of, they end up killing him, sort of, because he can transfer back and forth, but he does it cybernetically. The one thing that was interesting about all this was that all this stuff links back, and when we were talking about the protocol droid, but the Tarkin Initiative also links to this droid right here, which is B21. And B21, for those that don't know, was it was a part of the Tarkin Initiative that went crazy and just started killing everybody. It became Dr. Afra's droid. And Dr. Afra also has, going back to, and this is where I was like, at first this was corny, and then I was like, well, maybe this is like the Easter egg. Now this is grasping at straws, but maybe it's the Easter egg of Easter eggs that this was a reference to 000. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that would be kind of crazy. You let a psycho killer type droid babysit the child.
I have always wanted to see the little anti-aircraft gun shooters pop up on both shoulders of.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, oh, we'll get to that. That would be kind of cool. That'd be kind of cool. But that's it. Like, when you start getting into that, like, you're like, oh wow, because they saved, even though B21 blew up, they actually saved his consciousness. So if they have these guys working around, like, if they have this division, if they have the Tarkin Initiative still going on, like, how cool is that? Because they can, you know, in Rogue One, they name a bunch of them. They name the Darksaber stuff. They name a couple other things that are in there that could have referenced it, but they also name some of the stuff that's in here or could be in here. So how cool if this was just a recap issue of what's going on with Rogue One, back to that one scene where they see, do I have it right here? Where they're going through all the files.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
Naming them off. Remember, they say Darksaber in here. They say a couple other things like the Man of War stuff, which you saw in Clone Wars and stuff like that. Like, they say a bunch of stuff in there, and some of them, there's 3 or 4 that were named that haven't been touched on yet. And I wonder if this episode was kind of a reach out to be like, oh, cool, we're gonna soft introduce. You know, we've always said this. We thought that this season was a lot of soft introductions to what they were going to do in other episodes. If they're going to do a Dr. Afra episode, how cool would it be to have these early on Easter eggs about the Tarkin Initiative and the droids? How cool would it be for the Rogue One stuff? You know, we know that they're going to do the Andor and K2SO thing. Well, now we've got to.
Have they already filmed? Are they in the process of filming the Cassian Andor series?
Look into it. I
don't know. I don't know if they started yet.
There hasn't been any leaks about it.
Jen, when is the update? When's the Disney update?
I think it was like December 11th or 13th.
Somewhere around there. I think we're going to hear a lot of stuff. Yeah, I think we're going to hear a lot of stuff coming out on the 13th of what the future plans is. So that should be pretty cool. There is one more part. Pete, you ready to cover this? Give props to whoever did this, because this is kind of cool. There you go. What do we got here, Pete? New action figure coming out?
Oh, yeah. This was a buddy Phil who pointed this out and shared this in the chat. where it's not so much. I mean, people have seen the reference to the guy in the jeans in the background, kind of the coffee gate, but it was this little bit with the toy figure that somebody had done up that I thought was awesome.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's
like
fantastic.
I said, hey, listen, it was a sloppy episode. We're gonna get to questions in 1 second, guys. Just give us a second. It was a sloppy episode. Before we do that, though, we do need to get into. Oh, Kev's the whole chat. We do need to get into the grading system as we normally do, or do we want to kick through some of these? The Dark Trooper as well. That is a crazy theory. Thank you. It is a crazy theory. Can we say that? The Grizzled Geek has got another great one. Read the comments because Grizzled Geek's got some good comments today.
I'm with Grizzled Geek, man.
Yeah, I mean, it goes down. Look, that's
Grizz is the man.
That's
if you're not watching the Grizzled Geek on Friday nights, guys, you're missing out.
Yeah.
I think Grizzled Geek's on board with my Darth Trooper theory. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be. Yeah, I think it's going to. Like I said, I think it's going to still be more like. I know some people think that they're. Listen, I'm not saying that they're not. They are. We know that they're taking stuff from the old stuff and bringing it in. I do think how they've set up the Death Troopers, that's really going to be the initiative. So, like, let's think about this real quickly. If you're trying to, they're not. Well, I don't think it's trying to do the Palpatine thing so much as I think they're kind of doing more of a Star Killer portion, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. They're trying to create an army of Star Killers, which is really cool because we know Star Killer's got a lot of. You can't do Star Killer where he was. You have to try to introduce it a different way. We know that certain people are fans of Star Killer. So if you could create an army of like superior fighters who are volunteers and you can give them the metachlorian count, increase them to give them a little bit of force. There was a cartoon they had done, a Lego one, about kind of a hint towards this.
Yeah,
and then that was the one that made sure that they announced that this is not that nothing Lego does Star Wars wise will ever be canon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's kind of cool. So yeah, well,
I want to be a 7-year-old for 10 seconds if you guys don't mind. Imagine that they want an Ahsoka Tano lightsaber fight at the end of I don't know if it's the end of the season or somewhere down the road. She's got to fight. That she doesn't fight the boss first. She's got to be fighting other guys with lightsabers. They haven't had a lightsaber battle. So imagine her against those guys, and they'll have lightsabers. And then obviously the big boss battle is her versus Moff Gideon. So okay, I'm back. Now I'm back to a 10-year-old instead.
Well, they don't need lightsabers. They can use those Empire things, those weapons that they use like in Force Awakens. Like
electro staffs.
Yeah, I mean they can
but if they're going to take it off the Dark Trooper, I don't think they're going to go as crazy because you remember that's like a late early 2000 late 90s design. Like the third interioration of that figure, the exoskeleton one, pretty much was like a mech warrior, right? Like, but yeah, it domed head, almost like the Hulkbuster suit from obviously Iron Man, but the Hulkbuster suit with a big cannon and machine guns on it, like Gears of War. It literally looks like the guys from Gears of War put it into a robot. So like, that's not the style of doing things anymore anyway. So I think they might slick that down. But how cool would it be if they do have like, the whistlers or something to that effect on it so it can shoot out at, and then of course they're going to have to attach a fire cannon to it at one point because actually he didn't use it in this episode, did he? He's like burnt something in like every episode till now. I mean, he's always shooting that thing off. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, I think they're going to do a little bit of a crossover, but I really do think it's going to be like the new form Death Trooper. They've been setting this up in the books for a while. I mean, they've even explained in some of them how that these have been modified to become this elite fighting unit. And then like, if you can do that and you're using them as a test subject, then like, obviously the next step in that you'd think chronically is to do Star Killer, which would be kind of cool, man. But who knows? They might not do any of it. It might have just been like a quick couple Easter egg nods and then like have a nice day and it didn't work. And they can't let it happen, right? Like, because we know Force Awakens. So they can't,
well, can't you just evolve them more? Like it goes into the volunteers being like brainwashed, right? To like follow commands. And then it's going to keep evolving and growing with everything. Because then who are those fighters, next to Snoke in the red armor? Can't they just be like a
Yeah, you're right. It could be that could be them. They could turn into like the defense squad for him, like the Imperial. Doesn't take off the Imperial Guard, but yeah, it could be that they had then modified it into those super fighting guys because they did have some great. But you're right. That would be interesting if that's what it turned. I'm just saying that they can't do Death Trooper, right? Like you can't do robot Death Trooper because it'd be too easy. It'd be. But with that being said, they have done a lot of throwbacks to the Clone Wars. And they brought and robots in general, right? They brought IG-88-ish back. They brought back, they've obviously shown where he doesn't like droids, so they could make it a full droid. I just think when he's like they're ready, they're kind of getting the suits together. I think they're gonna get you didn't see any of the Death Troopers around, which I was looking. I rewatched it 2 or 3 times to say like, wait a minute, there should be Death Troopers guarding him, or it's something he has them. We've seen them before. Where are they? They weren't on that base defending. They weren't on the base defending the science program. Yeah, they got to be somewhere, right? They're not just.
That's an interesting point, though, Jen. Is like, and I was curious about this. In general terms, are they gonna start to put little hints about the future in Force Awakens? Because I know they're only 4 years out from Return of the Jedi here. But I keep being curious. It's like, are they going to connect forward? Or are they just going to kind of have it their own thing? Because they're
have raised hairstyle in the classroom there, so they're trying to give like little loose nods.
Yep.
My wife is like, "Is that Baby Ray?" I was like, "No, that's not how that happened." No, I mean that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, is this all just like small little callbacks? Not even real Easter eggs, like just like kind of a hint at something.
Some call forwards.
Or is it a call forward? Yeah. Or is it a call forward type situation?
Yeah, they're way too meticulous for these to be all throwaways. Like,
yes.
Not.
No. Some definitely are not throwaways. Like, I don't think the Cara Dune giving her the badge thing is a throwaway. That's not a throwaway.
No. Like, no. Even though she walked away from it.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't pick it up. She went the other way once. Yeah.
Yeah.
But how about if they have these armies of so like part of it too is every time that they make these Death Troopers one step harder. Same thing with the Dark Troopers. That was kind of how they had evolved the Dark Troopers. But in the regular, let's talk canon now, even in the Death Troopers, they've made their armors become more resistant. They've upgraded the weaponry every single time. It's supposedly harder and harder to kill them all the time. So what if this causes an army of, because they're not going to be, obviously the experiments have failed, but what if in the next episode, all of a sudden you have these guys drop out, like they stop whatever the plane is. They either get them in the traction beam, whatever it is. I mean, I think in one of these episodes coming up, he says they're ready. They have a track. There was a reason they told you they had the homing device on it. It doesn't look like they're going to let him get to wherever he's supposed to be getting. Yeah. So when they stop him, if now all of a sudden a whole huge group of these guys come out, and then you get Bo and the clan coming back, and then it's kind of like a shout out or a throwback to the scene when the Death Watch, or maybe the Death Watch comes back. Who knows? But think about it. Then all of a sudden you get that group there. They come together. They help save the Mando from like these 50,000 crazy troopers. I will say what's funny too, though, and what I was thinking about when I was looking at those tubes is there was a book called Death Trooper, right? Back in the early thousands or maybe it was late thousands. It was before Disney took over. And it was about like the ship base where these guys were on, and Han got on it, and it was zombie troopers pretty much. So I was like, man, that'd be weird if they did the zombie trooper thing real quickly. But anyways,
that's actually kind of what
are in.
Real quick, like what Kev just said about jetpacks and the mobile like Mandos. I actually kind of was like trying to count them because I was okay. So remember when they last left Navarro, all you had all the helmets left. You didn't see the bodies of the Mandalorians. I'm like, what if they took those bodies and like did stuff?
Oh, they were the volunteers.
So
yeah,
it would be the death. So it would be the death. It would be the Death Troopers because that would be right out of that book where they were.
Oh, that would be awesome.
No, it wouldn't. That book wasn't that awesome. They made
no. I'm saying, imagine they're fighting them, and all of a sudden they take their helmet. Well, they never saw them without their helmets, so that wouldn't work.
Wouldn't make that connection.
But Pete, I got to say one thing about you mentioned she walked away from the badge. I just hope they don't have a scene where somebody throws the badge in the dust and she picks it up and puts it on. Then I'm like, okay, come on.
No, they'll do more of like she'll have a box like in her room. They'll show she did actually go back and grab it.
Okay.
We'll do one of those.
Yeah, I mean, do you think so? I think that kind of lines up a spinoff, right? Like there has been rumors that she might be in a spinoff. I think that kind of we'll see, but that sure did seem like they're going to do a spinoff on her.
She's making a lot of friends lately, so I could see them doing a spinoff.
Well, you know, I always say, if you like shows, don't ever follow people on Twitter or Facebook or whatever. I've never followed any celebrity on anything, so I don't really know what she's talking about. I just see headlines that I don't click on saying like she's making people mad. She doesn't make me mad because I don't listen to. I watch the show. She's doing okay. Terrible actress. I mean, hey, she's not really good.
But she's never made
the action scenes. Awesome, and that's what they have her there for. I just think they should shoot him a little bit better. Like you can't have her tossing dudes out and giving like choke locks and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden she looks like she's 4'2".
Yeah,
and Papa is over there 50 feet above her. Like, come on.
Yeah, you just needed to lower the camera.
Lower the camera. Do something with the shoulder pad outfit thing too, man. Like. Maybe have something. Maybe we're gonna fight with a droid and it rips off her sleeves, and all of a sudden she's got Joe going on or something.
Yeah.
You know, like, do something about it.
Well, just in the first season, they made her a lot more imposing, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was just this episode, man. There was something weird. It was just how it was filmed. I don't know if it's Carl Weathers 1.0 or what, but
he's talking about the death thing, the zombie trooper thing. It. Kind of a funny, but I didn't think anybody read that.
Drag Mando back into the bar at the end of the first season, like just one hand, she just grabbed dragged his leg his body like he was nothing.
Yep.
I mean, I think she still has potential. She can still like. You're right, like, but when you cast her, she's never been like Oscar.
No.
Right. So she is like, and I've been following her since her MMA days, like. She's great. You're right. I almost wonder if they're going to push her into like a Snake Eyes kind of role where more action, less action.
Well, yeah, but if you have her as like the traveling Ronin or something to that effect, or like you could have her where she's just like, I don't know. I don't know what you could do with her. You have to have her paired up with somebody.
Yeah, she can't leave on her own.
Well, I went back and watched her introduction episode last season, and her acting was not bad in that.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
But it takes a director. It's kind of like a director knowing the limits of their actor. Okay, This is what I can ask them to do, and this is passable, and then this is like maybe stretching it a little bit. And like I really do like her a lot, so it was hard at certain points. Like I still enjoyed the episode, but I was like, oh man, they're asking her to do a little too much right now. Like give her more time to like really, come into herself.
I went back and looked at some of those episodes too, though, Leaky, and in a lot of them it was very like short or snide, like comeback lines.
Yes.
Which is good. And you could set somebody up. Like I said, she could be Jean-Claude Van Damme. I mean, you could do that. You could do that type of role and roll out one season or so with her. So she's still
not giving her monologues, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're not giving her any monologues, which is fine.
It's tough. Some people, no matter what you do, like just the way even just the way they talk, it just doesn't lend itself to be something cinematic or something people expect to watch on a show. It's not entertaining. It's like, well, I have no problem. It's just how I talk. Like, it's just, they may not have the delivery. And if they try, it seems worse. Like, oh, they're trying to be funny or they're trying to be tough. Like, it is what it is. You just got to limit.
What do you guys think about her being from Alderaan?
I was okay with that. Now, Jen, did the line that was so cliche, but I actually liked it when he said, "Did you lose anybody?" And she said, "I lost everybody." I thought I was going to hate it, and I didn't. I don't know why I didn't hate it.
It bothered me a little because it's a silly line. The entire planet got blown up. Who do you think I was?
I know.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Since an entire planet blows up, there sure is a lot of fucking Alderaanians everywhere, dude. Like, they're all over the place.
They travel.
Who was on the planet? There must have been nobody on the planet.
There was a rebellion going on. They were out. She was a drop.
Come on, man. They're all over the place. Every book's got one in it. The wine's everywhere. Nobody died on that planet, bro. Like, now I'm being a conspiracy theorist because, like, they're all over the place. They just added another one.
Did you guys hear
Idaho got blown? I'm sorry, I'm not picking on Idaho, but if Idaho got blown up, like a lot of people have left Idaho to go to college or go away.
Yeah.
They left to go do stuff. Like,
yeah. Did you guys hear the rumor of the Jimmy Smits cameo in the finale? Bail Organa. Sorry,
Yeah, right.
What?
You say Bail or get another Alderanian. Is that how you say it? Alderanian?
Elderodian?
Elderonian.
Eldernovian?
I have
Pete,
no idea.
I hear you, but like the whole thing was there's supposed to be a bazillion screens. The whole planet's dead.
Yeah.
And then you find out that there's like, well, it wasn't the whole planet. Maybe it was like 40% of the planet because the other 60% was doing something in space. Dude, there's more people that's in Star Wars Tales from Alderaan that are still alive than are from Coruscant originally. Like that's messed up, dude. Like
Well, in
that's
the new special edition, when Alderaan shoots first, that's so some can escape.
They shot the planet on Life Day, and everyone was on holiday. So
yeah, right.
I mean, there was only 20% population on the planet at the time.
Well, Wookie, I was not going to bring it up, but you brought up Life Day. Star Wars Lego Holiday Special was so awesome.
It was good. It was good.
I liked
it
it.
was very good. So yeah, I did have an issue with that. I actually had an issue with that. I thought that was a throwaway. I thought it was cheap and cheesy. Let's give some grades, then we'll go back and talk about it because I know we have to get out of here in a couple of minutes. But my grade will reflect the Alderaan comment. Leaky, since you got to go first, let's review real quickly. 9. We'll give all Leakies. Episode 9 was 4.5. Episode 10 was 4. Last episode he gave a 5. Leaky, what do you got on this episode?
Oh man, I got to give this one a 3.5. I thought this was the worst episode of the series yet, and the reason I'm giving it 3.5 is the action was I love the action, but one note, Marco, you were absolutely right. Is there were so many throwaway references to old stuff. Some that landed really well, like Baby Yoda with the wires and the bike troopers smashing into each other, literally when they fly right out of the home. That was very cheesy. So there was this had a rank 5 cheese level. I'll give it that. So it was like Gouda on the cheese level. So
awesome. All right. Let's try. I'm going to try to switch it up and see. I think I'm going to leave Jen to the end because she usually goes early, but I might be surprised by her ranking this time. So let me give me a solo Wookiee. Let's see what you got.
Man, you guys know I'm tough.
Yeah.
I want to give it a 2, but I'm going to stretch it out for a 3. 3 helmets. There was, in my eyes, it can't be easy to be Carl Weathers and step onto this set, and I don't think that anybody's going to think about that.
We'll talk more about that.
I think that stepping onto this new set and the way that they film with all the moving screens and everything going at once with the new game engine, that's got to be hard for a first time going into and try and direct. You don't know how the camera angles are actually going to play out versus how, the camera angles played out in, Rocky. It's not going to be the same. You're going to have to adjust. So I can see why there was a lot of problems. Now, with that said, the editing of this should have caught 90% of these problems that happened. They're in a battle, stuff's happening, boom, Mando flies off. See you later. Like, peace out, bitches. Have fun with the battle. Like, I'm going to, they said 3 times, oh, hey, it's going to take forever to fix this Razor Crest. This is going to take forever. He flies off and boom, all of a sudden it's done. Like, when did Chip Foose and the gang show up and do, the weekend rebuild on the car for the Vegas show? And here's the Razor Crest, save the day. It was really
like the afternoon.
Yeah, there was so many. The guy's leg behind the door, and that, like, you guys didn't catch any of this. That really, there was a lot.
I wonder if it was because of the remote. You know how they had to do all the post cred and remote. They weren't together, but
yeah, but still, you should have been able to do better. Come on, Disney Plus, how much money you got? Like, if this is what's carrying Disney Plus, you're gonna have to step it up a little bit. Like, let's be real here. And there was some other stuff. The whole, who knows what pill the Matrix Tube people had, and whether they were awake or not, or Snoke, or Palpatine clone. Like, it was kind of shoot the board so they can't get into it, and then they run in and they get into the board. It was weird. There was a lot of mistakes in this. but the action was great. Some of the cliche stuff did land and hits pretty good. So, I mean, I'm going to stretch it and go for a 3.
So the grades for Solo are 4 on 9, 3 on 10, 5 on 11, and 3 on 12. So not even his worst grade, tied for his worst grade, just so you know. All right, Pete, we've only got one grade for you. We have got the grade on number 11, which was a 5. So let's see what you think about this one.
It was tough. I got to agree with Solo on this one. I'm only going 3 because there were just a lot of just silly mistakes. I understand first-time director and all, but you can help. Like, they got people on set, help the man out. Like, there's some bits, like you have script people, you have a lot of people on there who could help. It's like, you know what? That wasn't the best line delivery. Like, we can have her do that again or have him do this again. But they didn't do that. But at the same time, there was a lot of fun callbacks in the sense that the sound they used, obviously in post-production, really hit. So the sounds of the speeder bikes, like, it brought back that eye. The shot of that Imperial ship was, reminiscent of New Hope. Like, that kind of stuff I still like seeing, as long as it's not overdone, and I still enjoyed those aspects of it. But yeah, some of the delivery of the lines, some of the transitions between scenes were a little rough. Somebody could have helped him out. First time shot, sure, but still, he could have used some help. But I still give it a 3 because with all the little seeds they dropped in there and the action, it still was an entertaining episode, all in all.
All right, Jen, let's see if you pick up the grading here because it is not going well. Jen has been 5s across the board, so we don't even need to go episode to episode. She's on 5, 5, 5. Jen, what do you got?
Well, technically, last episode you gave a 6, but I know that's not possible.
Only 5 helmets.
So when I first watched it, and I was, just being a fan, I really thought it was a 5. But when I rewatched it, it went down, and it was only because when I was rewatching it, I was seeing what you guys were talking about, and I was like, oh. So, and I understand, like, I know about Gina's acting, so, and I know Carl Weathers was his first, like, I was trying to give, like, that leeway of, like, understanding what I was seeing again, and I want to say, like, 4, 4.5, like, it just, but I really enjoyed watching it the first time through. I wouldn't tell people to watch it twice, because then they'll nitpick it.
Yeah, so was that 4 or 4.5? You're screwing my grading system up. You have to give me numbers that are actually on the system.
Well, regardless, with the 6, it still averages a 5.
Right. We'll give that 5 plus, and then this one we'll just give a plus, a -2. All right, go ahead. What do you got on it?
I'll probably get 4.5.
4.5. All right.
Yeah. Like.
So, go ahead.
It was tough. Like, again, because I'm such a, like, I like to like things, and so when I rewatched it, I just wish I kind of didn't rewatch it, because then I would have kept in that, like, nice ignorant area.
So I'm a little different on this one. Okay, so I've given 5 to 9, 4 to 10, 5 to 11. When I watched it the first time, I was like, wow, this is one of the longer episodes, because the first 15 to 17 minutes, I was like, this is just not, like, even with the action in it, I just thought it was so, and I was hoping that he did a good job, because I like when these new guys get a good job. I like Apollo Creed. Obviously, I always joke around about it. Like, I really like him. I like all movies he's ever been in. I was like, it's kind of cool that somebody is finally giving, plus I like people to get a shot, man, right? Like, I give a guy a shot. And then you see it, and I'm like, ooh. And then I just kept saying, ooh, ooh. And then, like, that's the problem I have in post. If they did also, or I think it might have been some of his directing, like, they did so much good stuff in post with the cutting and making sure the screenshot was perfect, and some of the angles and everything like that they had that you could tell were post-shot cuts. I don't think I can blame, yes, of course you can blame the guy's, you can blame the new figure, this right here, on post. Obviously, there's a problem with post, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff I think had to deal with directing. And unfortunately, when I watched it the second time, then I started looking into it more. And a lot of the poorly delivered lines, although you think would be from Gina or Dune, they were actually from Carl.
Yeah.
But Carl delivered some terrible, and the lines were a little bit corny, but how they were delivered were tough to watch. It was cringeworthy. But by the fourth time, I kind of I think I was at a 2. I think I was really at about a 2. But by the time I watched it like the 4th time, I really I just got so hyped by the other stuff going on in the back end and how they didn't really screw that stuff up that I really got back up to probably the 3 range. I mean, I think that's where it's going to sit. And I agree with you. I think this is probably the worst. And hopefully it is. Hopefully this is the worst episode that we have. Now, Leaky, I know if you have to go, you can go. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about we've had a couple of requests to go over a little bit more about the Snook type thing. And I also kind of want to see what some of your guys' theories are to go from here. So, Leaky, if you want to give us where you think they're going to go from next, if you just have to dip, I understand how Sunday dinners can be.
Yeah, I'll give my I got to go to my Sunday dinner, and I have to go cry a little bit after this episode. It was so sad, but I just give me my 2 seconds, and then I'll bolt. Is where they're going to go from here. I'm still kind of I'm actually a lot more bought into, Marco, what you were saying last week. Like the Filoni episodes coming up. I'm thinking we're going to see Ahsoka Tano soon. But with that, I'm a little thrown off because I thought it was going to go a little different direction this week. But anyways, thanks for having me, guys, and got to go to Sunday dinner. And I'm not going to watch the episode again, Jen. You're right. I want more ignorant bliss. So
Yeah.
see you guys later.
All right, take it easy, Leaky. Thanks.
Well, who's the assistant? Who's the assistant? Like, right? The assistant director? Like, there's someone there to help him in.
Sure.
Like,
also don't forget he had to act too. Like you were talking about, Margaret. You were talking about him delivering his lines. He's also directing, so he's probably not paying attention. He had a lot to do, like on the day that he couldn't do anything.
Yeah, it could have been nerves. It could have been nerves.
To do it.
By the way, just to point it out, if you guys have been watching our show for the last week, I've been drinking out of the Death Trooper cup from Rogue One.
Nice.
But it's only because I found them for like.
I went with the Jedi, old school.
But yeah, so where do you guys see this going? Like, where do you see the next couple episodes? Where do you see the next couple episodes going?
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I gotta.
Okay, or we'll wait for Pete to get back. Let's recap. Who is in here? No pressure, Jen. Discovery, you still here? Because Discovery was asking if we kind of covered that Snook thing. And let's go through some of the comments while people. Wow, we got a lot of comments. I don't know if we can. Thank you. Thanks, Kev. That's cool. Kev, good to see you. So I really do think that they are going to try that. I don't think they're going to link up the Snoke thing. I think that's kind of a red herring. I think because of the volunteer thing, I do like the where did the bodies go? But I think didn't she kind of reference that maybe she either burned them or buried them? The zombie thing, maybe not so much. I do think they're going to use Imperial Trooper volunteers and create that powerful army. I do really like. I mean, maybe is it only me, but you want to see Starkiller, right? Does everybody want to, Chad? Do you guys want to see Starkiller? Because that's what I want to see. And I think when they're talking about injecting it in that program, that Tarkin initiative, even when you look at the CeeLo stuff, like we're kind of loosely referencing making a Starkiller, and like to have that powerful being and be able to do it. And then the Lego TV show movie we were talking about, they actually ended up then cloning out him to make an army of Force. But I think if you can try these guys here, these Death Troopers, and give them the extra power, all of a sudden you can get the Starkiller in there. And by the way, he won't last. Like the one good thing about Star Wars is they don't let these like sentry, like overpowered Superman type characters last that long. They give them the kryptonite really quickly, like the Death Star. How long did the Death Star last? By the way, somebody did say, who was it back here? He said there was 1 million, and for some reason this sounds familiar. It was a Grizzled Geek. Alderaan's left. There's 1 million of them. Something to that. Oh, here it is. Yeah, for some reason that sounds familiar. Did that come out of Bloodlines? I think it might have, but
I can't remember if it did or not. That sounds right.
Later. Yeah.
I'll buy it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Well, then, do we ever find out what happens to Luke's hand?
Yes, in Star Wars. Well, not actually his hand. There's an Ugnaught who recovers his lightsaber, kind of. Mm-hmm. That was after it fell down the shaft, kind of. In this new Star Wars series right now that's going on, I think it was book 6 or 7, somewhere around there. They do it.
Right.
Yeah. So after his arm gets chopped off, and Ugnaught finds it in the trash receptacles down underneath. Yeah. Yeah.
Because you
So they
always
find it.
take his hand, right, and clone from his hand.
Oh, look
Yeah,
at
you
him.
could. You could.
Yeah.
Now, why
I
would
really do-
someone just go and throw away a perfectly good hand? Oh, well.
But I mean, what I really, like I said, I think obviously that hasn't worked yet. So they haven't figured out how to create the super soldier, like the force sensitive soldier. But they definitely have got the line going on where they have these at least elite soldiers. I think they're going to put them to the exoskeletons, and I think it's going to be sooner than later. But I think that's going to be the end scene. I think at the end you're going to have the big battle. And how cool would it be if you have all of a sudden you have either Bo's group or Bo's group and the Death Watch come together, and then all of a sudden a certain Jedi shows up to help out in the end. Like that would be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be cool. I mean, obviously it was interesting how fast they fixed the Razor Crest, but do you think they fixed it fast because they want him to move faster through the last episodes? Because like that's the end game, right? The Razor Crest eventually has to find Ahsoka Tano, right? Like at one point has to find it. But then what happens next? Do you know what I mean? So do you think it's that they're fixing it that fast? Because it was on, Solo brought it up. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a ship fixed like near mint back. I know some of the best pressers in the world. They can't fix a book back to near mint as quick as that Razor Crest came back to near mint, right? So like, how does that?
And I mean, what better way to get a hold of Ahsoka? Because Ahsoka's out there. Ahsoka now knows the child is out there and is going to want to protect and come to the child. What better way to draw Ahsoka out than to track the Razor Crest, trap the Razor Crest, and then get Ahsoka to try and the rest of the crew to try and come save him or be a part of that? I mean, if I was, the big bad guy, come on, think smarter, not harder.
Mm-hmm.
The one interesting part that they haven't done that they kind of did in the last season is they haven't gone away from, like I thought personally that they were going to kind of give us the Cara Dune, like there is going to be more focused around those characters and push him to the back end. And they haven't done that one-off, doesn't advance the storyline that much episode yet. Like they really haven't.
Well, they haven't had a lot of episodes. Like, when you're doing 8 in a season, there's not a lot of wiggle room. There's not like you're dropping to 26 or a 13 where you can, hey, we'll have that throwaway flashback episode or fun. Like, there's not a lot of room to play.
But they did do that last time. They did it last time with the prison episode that served no purpose besides it was kind of a throwaway episode in there. So I'm just saying, like, they haven't had their true throwaway yet. All the episodes have advanced. And I don't know, man. Like,
you could argue the prison kind of character builded Mando a little bit to kind of show what he might have been up to before, where he is now. I don't know.
Yeah, there was like one line reference to that, I guess. I don't.
Yeah, he's working with the dude who always works with I can't think of his name. Sons of Anarchy, Bobby.
Anarchy, yeah, Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, it's the Sons of Anarchy episode. But I'm just saying, like, do you guys think the next episode is the Ahsoka episode? If you bring her, that'd be, I don't know. I kind of want to see it where they kind of bring her in for a little bit, but then like, are they going to do what they did with Boba, or is that who's coming back? Like, are they going to finally, because remember, he was at the beginning and they showed one shot of him on top of a sand dune. We haven't seen the armor since. We haven't seen him since. Sure. He kind of found some Mandalorians, but he doesn't like those type of Mandalorians. So like, you know what I mean? Because they were making fun of him pretty much. I mean, they have to get back into that type of relationship, right? But it sounds like it's a hard end. Like you would think that they were advancing the storyline to come into one portion like they have before, where you get into the end and it becomes the big battle scene like every Western, right? You have the big battle scene, and then the last episode, kind of like they did last year, the last episode sets up the like, hey, we're going to do another season next season. I'm using the black saber. Oh my gosh, we're cutting out of the TIE fighter. You know what was funny was I forgot till they did the hologram thing that they thought he was dead.
Yeah.
They thought Gideon was dead. Remember that? Like,
yeah,
that was the big. Yeah, I see that they say there's never truly a Jedi, and I get that part too. And I've heard the rumors too that the next one's called the Jedi. Which, by the way, how cool would that be if it turns out that, because there is a couple, Jen, you brought this up before. There's a couple Jedis that are actually out there.
Yeah.
And we're not talking about like Ezra. We're talking about who the heck is that? There's the one lady that was being trained and got, I can't remember what her name is.
The friend of Ahsoka that betrayed her.
Oh yeah. That's a good, I was going to let this. Yeah. Go ahead. Talk about Bess, whatever, Oppressed or whatever her name is.
Well, I mean, she's, last time we saw her, she's going to Jedi jail, right? And then we get an ending to her.
Jedi jail.
Jedi jail. There's a couple, like even from the video game, Cal is like running around. I've seen a couple of theories about like Ahsoka having her own school. I think she's probably gonna come across the same thing that Cal did in the video game. Oh, spoilers.
Wait, her own school? Didn't we talk about that last week where it was like the school of baby, what did I call it? Ezra
and Sabine's kid.
Yeah, Sabine. The Ezra Sabine kid. Yeah, I mean, no, I think it could be, I think you're right. It could be the person who backstabbed Ahsoka Tano. What's her Bress? Whatever her name is. I can't, my brain's now, I can't do that modern playbook anymore. Staying up till 4 a.m. doesn't get my brain working that well the next day. But also too, there was a Jedi that was trained. It's the one that gives Luke the yellow saber. She's still around too, as far as we know.
Barriss.
Yeah, Barriss Offee, yeah.
Barriss Offee, yeah. Barriss Offee, I think we think she's still around. Technically not a Jedi anyways. She was a Padawan. Obviously, though, Ahsoka's not a Jedi either. And like even through Rebels, she still declared that she wasn't a Jedi. So I don't think she's a Jedi. And even to train people to be a Jedi was never like, if you read her books or things, she just wanted to save the kids or whatever.
Voss.
What?
Voss.
Yeah, Voss. Voss could. It's a Filoni episode. How cool would that be? We can't do that. I mean, I don't want to see that either. I mean, I do, but I don't. But no, I mean, like you could. There's a bunch of things you could do, but like I think at one point you have to expand on Boba Fett, right? And what episode are we in now? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 episodes left. You have to get Bo-Katan. You have to somehow merge all the Mandalorians. Okay, which I think that merger is going to happen when we fight Dark Troopers / Death Troopers, the new Death Troopers. Let's just call them the new Death Troopers from now on.
If we even see it, I don't even know if they'll get to that this season to show it.
You don't think they'll do that? I think they're going to do it like they did last season. I think that's episode of the season. I think episode 7 is the attack of the Death Troopers, and they're fighting them all the way through 7. Or yeah, they're fighting them all the way through 7, just kind of like they were when they were getting shot down in the canteen. Everything looked like it blew up. And then 8, they're going to do hey, this is how we destroy it. This is how we get it out. And by the way, Bo-Katana's going to go get the Darksaber, and we're going to see Ahsoka Tano.
So you think they're going to do like a Game of Thrones style thing where the big battle episode is the second to last episode, and then the last episode is the wrap-up?
They did it last time, man, and they're in the exact same episodes, and the times that they're doing these are pretty similar. They've put directors similarly, like the person that did 4 last time was a first-time director. Same thing with 3. 5 was Dave last time too. I mean, that's a lot of stuff they're doing. They did last time. So why would you change the winning formula?
Yeah. Well, even last time, the last episode was still the battle. That's when they fought Moff Gideon. Like it was the last episode, not the second to last episode.
Yeah, but I mean,
like, the 2 episodes went together. It was almost like a cliffhanger.
2-parter.
7 to 8.
Yeah. I think that's kind of.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, but I think that's how they're going to do it. So those 2 episodes are done. So we're 4 through. That's 6. So we have 2 more episodes that somehow they have to affect Boba Fett. And then, well, if they drop Ahsoka, they have to drop her before that, because you have to drop her at the end, right? Like you'd want her in the big mega battle, don't you? Isn't that what you want her there for?
Well,
no?
That's like, so we're done seeing all the trailer. Like the trailer's done. They used half the season in that. Right? And I know everyone's like Dave Filoni's the next episode. I don't know if any of that's like concrete. That's just like hearsay, right? But what would be cool is if you got there and you did get like a hologram of Ahsoka, like not being there, kind of. And I rewatched this episode. I remember I was telling you guys before about you're saying that what if she goes there in Marco and she's like dead? But then I found it's from the new Voltron series. Pidge is looking for her brother, goes to like a graveyard full of like just graves, and then goes to his gravestone, starts crying, but then sees that like in the like the number, it's actually coordinates to like where he actually is. And so I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool if they get there and maybe there's a hologram or something, or you see something that's like,
or you see some coordinates, or somebody else show. Oh, that would be super cool. So you're showing up and there's a breadcrumb there, which would be perfect because then it gives you the thriller hanger at that part, and then you still catch her. Oh, that would be super cool.
Because then you would get a little bit of Ahsoka that people have been wanting for. Dave Filoni gets to play a little bit in the sandbox, and then you're still saving Ahsoka for like the last big battle. But I think we're going to end on a big cliffhanger. I don't think we're going to be like, that's season 2. I think we're going to be like, that's season 2, and then we're going to like freak out.
Yeah, no, I think that's why we're going to get the fight between the Death Troopers. Like, that's it, right? Like, we're going to get the fight between the Death Troopers, and then all of a sudden you're gonna be like, oh man, I need more, I want more. And I think you can have the spin-offs then. I think you can have the Bo-Katan spin-off, and you can have a couple spin-offs, and I think it will open it up. Like I said, when does that end? Because was it December 13th is what week is it now? It's that's pretty close. The ending of this season is pretty close now that I'm thinking it, to also the Disney, when Disney does their reveals of what their upcoming events are for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, is the last episode on the 18th or the 25th?
I think it's the 18th, isn't it? Which is right around when Disney does their reveal. Which is right around when Disney does the reveal of what they're going to do for the setup for the lineups for next year.
Well, so I wonder if they're going to release next season earlier than they did this season, just because so much is riding on Mandalorian right now, especially with Disney Plus.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I think they can add in so much stuff. I mean, Obi's going. They've moved it so it's so much faster to shoot stuff.
Yeah, but realistically, how long could they keep this going? I know you can make the argument, well, it's kind of like a Western. It could go on forever, but realistically, how long do you think they're going to keep the Mandalorian going on his story, whatever that may end up being, as opposed to now they're dropping the seeds for all these other spinoffs? We can tell a ton of stories based off of this, but
yeah, I think
not keep going much longer.
I think that's it. I think that's kind of like
I don't want to think about the end, but at the same time, like you can't.
No, you're right. No,
well, we'll come up with something else later. Like that never works when you try to come up. Well, you almost Supernatural it. Like I love Supernatural, which just recently ended, and I didn't watch it. But you get to a point where we can only up our game and make the big bad even bigger so many times before it just kind of it gets repetitive.
I thought this was supposed to just expand the universe, so it leads into other shows, and then eventually we get the like Uzan Vong. Like that's what we've been talking about, right? Like it's leading to the Thrawn and the big bad that's like coming.
Yeah,
like, that's like the end game.
Yeah, I think it's got. I mean, I think that's what it's got to be. I think you're going to start seeing it, but eventually you have to start getting away from doing these old tropes about like. Unfortunately, you've got to get away from a lot of the Bo-Katan, the looking for, Ahsoka, stuff like that. Like you have to get away from that. And that's where they can open up their own shows and get away from the Bobas. Because you're going to have Boba. I mean, I think we all think 1313, right? We've been saying it for a while. We think 1313. We'll come up with a video on 1313, but like, I think that's where that's going. Oh yeah, I should probably take that down. I still think that's a great comment, by the way, Obi-Wan. I think that's where that's going. I think we're gonna get 1313. And we obviously got the Obi thing coming out.
One.
What's that?
Rule number 1. Don't talk about 1313. Rule number 2. Don't talk about 1313.
I said 1313. Anyways, so I mean, I think that's where we're going with that. We got the Obi-Wan coming up. Obviously, I think we're going to have a spinoff where we have the Bo-Katan. That thing was so well received, which is amazing. And I'm glad it was, because she is one of my favorite. Like I like how she was part of, the Death Watch originally. And she kind of was like, man, forget this, dude. I'm not bowing down to Darth Maul and these lunatics. Like I always thought that was cool. We're going to get the Protectors coming in too, which will be fun. A little bit Death Watch. So you're already going to get all those breakoffs. We know they're going to kind of skip over, and they have to form in the New Republic stuff eventually. So Pete's right. This has to end. And it's not going to end well, by the way. Like we know it's not going to end well.
I still don't think you're seeing Ahsoka until the end, until the very last episode. And
I think how Jen explained that works out well. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, there's going to be a big battle, and it's going to get thick and heavy and nasty, and it's going to have lots of Mandalorians and everybody in there. One of the two, most likely Bo-Katan and her clan, coming and helping them and trying to save the Razor Crest and the child. And then as you see Moff Gideon's Darksaber coming down, all of a sudden, who jumps in and stops his saber with her sabers? Bam.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Dude, you know what, though, that I was kind of disappointed in? Like, and now I'm questioning is, where's the armor at?
Yeah, it's in the ship.
She left.
It's in his little storage locker last we saw. Well,
no, the armor, the character. Where is she?
Yeah, she left. She gathered up all the stuff, and that the symbol or whatever the I can't remember the thing on the wall, the big symbol, the Mandalorian.
The
off the wall. She took it.
Mudhorn.
Not the Mudhorn, the other one.
The beast that they always kill, the whatever.
The sword. Yeah, what it is?
The sword is some Saurus or what? Yeah, that's what I'm saying is. So we heard her voice in the demo. We haven't seen her yet. We know she's not. You think it was just a coincidence that they showed that place? You see what I'm saying?
I think they showed it to show she was that she had left. That
she left. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Why would you even put that in there unless you have a plan this season of having her pop back up someplace?
And she might.
Which if she does
back before Boba Fett comes back. Boba Fett, I wouldn't be surprised we don't see him again. Like, that's it.
Maybe. Yeah. But if she pops back up, that means that the Death Watch is coming. That's what that means.
Well, because doesn't she know where the other Mandalorians are? Like, wouldn't she know?
Well, I mean, I think, like I said, I think she's Rook Cast. So if she's Rook Cast, she does. If she's Rook Cast, she's just one. She's kind of like the leader of what would be the Death Watch. She'd be the overall leader of the Death Watch, pretty much at this point.
We'll see.
Yeah.
There's a lot to go.
JJ's in. What's going on, JJ? He made it. He must have just woke up from hanging out with us with Modern last night. No more Modern for me. I'm done. Can't do it anymore.
Hey, when's the Bad Batch coming?
What's that?
When's the Bad Batch coming?
Yeah, that's another thing. And that's animated. That's got to be this year. It's probably going to be in mid-year. You know what I mean?
Animation next year.
End of next year. That's what I mean. Like, not this year. I mean, like this calendar year coming. I'm talking about projecting already. When I say this year, it's got to be months. I don't mean in December. I mean this year, as in March, like March, February, March, April-ish, around there. Because obviously this is done for the year, right? Like there's nothing else coming out until January 1st and probably after January. So you'd figure probably in March, probably somewhere around there.
Okay.
Animation does take a little bit longer, but I think there's a lot of money going into making these things and making sure that they're getting out. So I think they can push that up a little bit faster too, because they're not working. You got to think a lot of people aren't working on some of the other big projects. So they have a lot of talent laying around and a lot of people who need to be employed and a lot of people who can just focus on working things. So that's kind of cool. Like I said, I think that Bad Batch thing too, that's a nod to these characters, the Death Watch or the Death Trooper characters. I mean, dude, look, it's crazy. I'm saying, how is this going to fit though into four episodes? Like,
it's not going to.
It's going to be. It's not going to. Exactly. We're cliffhanger in this shit.
Real quick,
I would like to say one thing, and maybe she was wrong. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Jen.
Just real quick, Kev. So Ahsoka technically dropped both sabers in the end of season 7. You see her as the ship's going down. She loses one, and then when she's burying the other one, she leaves the other one behind that Darth Vader finds, and then she gets her own sabers another way. That's in that novel.
Yeah, I think too, going with the time. So that's all Clone War stuff, not Rebel stuff too. Mind you, everything you just talked about was all. Remember that this is after Rebels, not after Clone Wars. I think that's a big confusion. We got to keep reminding people. The Ahsoka we're going to see now is the post Rebels. So watch Clone Wars, then watch Rebels.
But then read the book.
Watch Clone Wars, read the book right before season 7. Then watch the rest of Clone Wars. Then watch Rebels.
If it doesn't have pictures, I'm not in.
It does. It has I think there's one like a sketch of instead of a chapter. I think they sketch her next to maybe. I can't help you. There's an audiobook though. You can listen to it.
The audiobook has the girl who does the Ahsoka voice.
Oh, Ashley Eckstein.
Some serious nerdy. Oh, of course there is, Giz. Yeah, I mean we were supposed to keep it to an hour, but I mean there's just
yeah.
I
gotta get going. Survivor Series is starting in like 5 minutes.
Sun's
waiting for it.
Yeah, you should. You know what you should do is just since you buy that anyways, you get all the library. Just like take them back to the old days. You can go into some of that NWAA stuff and like really show them. Where
the old stuff. He goes back and starts telling me weird random facts because apparently that's what 8-year-olds like to do. Tell you weird random facts about how long wrestlers held belts for. Like I care.
Right. Me and him can hang out.
140 days.
Me, him, and Cornette, when this all gets done, we'll just have a round table and talk about that type of stuff. But yeah, so I think that's it. I think it's going to be cool. I mean, they did a lot of cool stuff here. As much as I say that some of the throwbacks were lazy, that last couple bit and what they opened up that it could have been is really good because we can really have a battle war that can drag on into the next two. And I think that's like at first, like, are you really going to have all these Mandalorian groups come together to fight a Moff? Like he's not that powerful, right? But like if he's
going to have there's got to be something more to Moff if there's going to be that big of a they're going to have to either scale the whole battle down or they're going to have to build up Moff and all of his people and his troopers and they're going to have to build it up if that many Mandalorians are going to show up.
Yeah.
One last point I'd like to bring up, and it could be completely wrong because who knows? I did say that I don't follow celebrities on the old internets, but I do read their interviews and articles. And do remember that Gina at one time, when somebody had guessed about all the characters that were going to be in this season, there's one character, she said all of them were except for one character. That's what she said in the interview. And all the characters that have been named, except for one character who they only actually said her name, hasn't shown up in this episode. So Bo-Katan was one of them. Boba Fett was one of them. They referenced Timothy. They didn't say his name. That was one of them. There's one more person, which was Ahsoka Tano, that the interview had asked and said, like, all these characters are going to be in it. We know the rumors broke. And she said, yeah, all those are true except for one. So like either she was flat out lying or they're pulling an Empire on her, which would be so cool if they didn't tell anybody that Ahsoka Tano is showing up, which would be weird. Like, how would she not? Well, if Dune isn't in in those episodes, she wouldn't know. But like, how cool if that's the Luke, I am your father. Like nobody knows till she showed up at the end, or
I don't think we're getting her until, if at all, at the very end.
Yeah, I mean, I got that, but I'm just saying, like, how cool would it be if they did like the Luke, I am your father, and right at the end of the whole show, it's just her by herself doing something super cool. Like that would be cool. Well, if she was lying, then like, okay, go get some acting lessons. But she's not a good actor, so obviously, if the interviewer was interviewing her, they would have known if she was lying because she's not a good actor.
But she apparently got better at acting. If she's so
terrible actor, great interviewee.
Yeah. So
we're all expecting it though, right? At the end. What if like they just decided to be like, you know what? Everyone's expecting it to be at the end. Let's change it.
I think they would put her in 5 if they wanted when everybody would expect it. Everybody expects her to be. Ever since they said that Kevin was directing this one, everybody's like, that's where she's going to be, which I do find very interesting because if you go back, can somebody pull up what number 5 was last time? Wasn't that the Prison Break episode? Wasn't that the Sons of Anarchy episode? Was that 5? Because it definitely wasn't the dark. Like whatever was going on in the episode didn't have a lot to do with, if I recall correctly, Kevin's stuff. It was new stuff, really. Like he didn't bring back.
Episode 5 was the Gunslinger,
which was with the desert. So it was Boba Fett, maybe like the jingle of Boba Fett, but really didn't have much to do with anything that he's ever done before. I mean, a little bit. He did do Boba Fett in Clone Wars, I guess, because he did the young version of it. But like that. And by the way, you know what also happened? They didn't actually show Boba Fett there. They only showed his boots and the sound effect.
Yeah.
So remember that the last Kevin episode they did didn't have any, like no reveals on it. And it didn't have anything to do with anything he's ever shot before. So, hey, look, they could change it up. They could have like all of a sudden she's the tree the second Jedi tree that they had stolen in the comic book. She's living underneath it. Like I said, it could be on the planet teaching little Padawans, the Ezra Sabine thing, and I just don't see where it goes after that. And then throws her lightsabers into the water and goes and tries to get some blue milk out of a sea walrus or whatever. But I don't know. I'm really dope. Like the fight scenes have been really good. The one thing out of this episode was we can tell that they can still shoot fight scenes, right? Like that's the one thing they can really do. I really love how the mini Star Destroyer, the Echo class or whatever it is, came flying in, and how great that looked for a small screen. Like that just was so cool. Yeah. So like, I'm so stoked for Final Battle, like Battle Royale. Like, go ahead, Jen.
Remember we talked about it? So when Mando did that cool spin move, I was like, is that Anakin's spin move that he uses to like?
That's true.
Sorry.
Yeah, it sure did look like. Well, no, I rewatched it, so it kind of looked like it, but then like the acceleration at the end wasn't the pull out that you. I don't think, but yeah, I think there was a nod to it. Yes, I agree with that. But yeah, I mean, I think.
What did you mean, small screen?
Well, I mean, like
television as opposed to
television, supposedly instead of the
cinema.
You mean
Wookie just wants to talk to everybody about how he's got like a big screen.
Impressive.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is, on TV, it turned out really good. That was the cool parts about this. You can add, like the speed, how things were moving, those bike speeders. Like that's not the desert by itself. There was actually action going on, the colliding of the troop transport into them. How you saw the blasters go through it. Like those little things is what saved this show, really. And it was really cool to see them being done. And now we're going to get I know people are excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited too to see it done in the right way with Ahsoka and get the Mandalorians there and get the protectors down there. Like I'm excited for that stuff too. But we also get to experience Star Wars at home, like real Star Wars at home, like movie theater Star Wars at home, which is space and huge battles and just engulfing you, which is. I think Grizzly early on made a comment about what that does to him, and that kind of does that to me too, right? Like that's where I get. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyways, does anybody else have anything to add?
No.
I just want to see a Morai.
I'm sorry, what?
The owl creature that follows Ahsoka around that you see every now and then.
Oh, think about if that's hanging out on the plane. Oh, Jen, you're just dropping it on people today. You're just
going live action version of that.
Oh, dude, that would be cool. But yeah, think about if they show up to the planet and that's it, and then they're like, "What's this?" And then the guy, oh man, and then all of a sudden they got to go into. We're putting too much into 4 episodes, guys. I think we've just gotten 6 seasons. We've just 6 seasoned this thing out into 4. They better start going to hours, which we know they're not going to go to. It's going to be another 32 minutes. Is probably next. And by the way, stop lying about the time. Can we stop lying about the time? If you tell me the show's 32 minutes, I don't want you to count.
Recap and the
intro, and end credit scenes. I like watching the end credit scenes. Don't get me wrong. I like the artwork. I love all that stuff. That doesn't count. You tell me playtime. I want actual playtime.
No,
don't give me 18 minutes in a 32-minute episode. Get out of here.
Whatever it is, -5, and you're good. You got 5 minutes of intro credits and recap.
I want one of those end scene original pieces of artwork so bad.
That'd be awesome.
I don't even care which one it is. I want one so bad.
If you want the regular blue cookies, you don't mind if it's that different?
Yeah, if and when those go to market, Disney will. I'll never be able to afford one, and Disney they'll be gone like that.
What,
they'll be out.
Would you want to print?
No, the original pictures from the end credit scenes that they cycle through at the end of every episode. An original art piece.
I mean, those are cool. The one thing that they are kind of doing, and these got knocked for it originally, but these are kind of cool that you can pick them up. They actually have those art scenes, and they're making them into the figures.
That's cool.
Yeah, which is kind of fun. That was originally her first time he showed up. That was the after scene for it. Hey, okay, so we're not. The artwork does look good. Great show, guys. Geek, we're not finished yet because then somebody Ready or Die had to come with it. All right. So if this is phase 1, I think phase 2 becomes all the spins offs from this, and you're going to end some storylines. Like you're going to have to end the Thrawn story / Ezra storyline portion. Obviously, hopefully they have a cool kid, but like you're gonna have to do that, and then their kid can hang out with. So like I always think that they use these same Star Wars tropes. So instead of having the Skywalker kids keep hanging out all the time, think about if they have Hera and Kanan's kid then hang out with Sabine and Ezra's kid. Sabine, Ezra, and that'd be kind of cool.
Talking about Bean Bridger.
Mixed,
Yeah.
mixed in with Cal and the Last Night Sister.
Oh, come on, dude. That's not happening. Can you?
What?
Night Sisters?
No, come on. There's a little bit of.
Are we going to start talking about anatomy of Night Sisters at this point? I'm not sure if that can. Yeah, you just finished playing the video game, but no, that's really cool. We got to do some shoot on that because that's a good one. But yeah, then Cal out there and whatever Cal. Yeah, were they romantically?
There was like he liked her, I think.
Yeah,
and they all have twins. Dun dun dun.
Oh, and then think if they have the magical Voss Ventress kid somehow, like through the Force. That would be cool. Not really, but that would be cool. Yeah, but it'd be cool. No, so I think phase 2 then gets all these spin-offs. So like I think Obi-Wan you'd probably still consider phase 1. That's only a 1. Like you're not going to be able to roll. There's not enough time left. There, if you want to milk it for money, you could probably get 2 out of it, but that wouldn't be good. What you're going to do with Obi is do that as an intro to some other characters. Hopefully, we're hoping that we get a little crate love in there. Go ahead.
Do you think that him and Satine had like a secret kid?
No, sorry. I don't look. You guys do know I'm not in the story group, though, right? You guys know I'm not part of the Star Wars story group. So, my opinion, they could absolutely. I mean, you don't have to. Sorry to break everybody's heart, but no, I don't think that. I don't think that that's a possibility. Just like I don't think Voss and Ventress possibility is either. I mean, I think it's like fan thing that I'd like to see, but like that's going to be like, let's bring back fansies. Let's just do it. Let's start bringing back fansies. We'll write our own.
Absolutely, I agree. Let's do it.
But so you get the Obi-Wan that expands out, so you enter in the new characters. The New Republic, they're pushing that hard. I'm hopefully optimistic. I've saw some stuff that's leaked, and I would say concerned. I'm concerned that the scope that they're trying to do is way too big for the amount that they're going to produce.
Mail them a can of Flex Seal. Stop it! No more leaks, guys. That's enough.
Yeah, there's a. You know what? Maybe in our talk next week, I'll throw a little. I've talked about it before. Maybe I'll throw a little dry erase board in. Like just real briefly so people can freeze their screens real quickly and try to see what they take out of it. But
I thought you were going to say the flex screen guy in the boat. This guy in the boat.
No, we all know. Look, they have to do it. No, we have to do the Ezra thing.
Ezra and Sabine.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to see it.
All right. But yeah, so no, I think like that's phase 1. So you get through phase 1, you finish up what you're going to do with the Bad Batch. You can start leading that into like back small stories. I think 1313, this is phase 2, 1313 is going to be the big thing. I think in phase 2, you're going to get 1313 because 1313 can like expand so much. I don't care, man.
Rule number 1, David.
There's only like 20 people. Only like 2 or 3 people are going to steal this and try to create content out of it. Look, 1313. This is something that's been going on for a very long time. They've been trying to make it work. They still haven't. We will come up. I might shoot that today, and then we'll have it out in a couple weeks. 1313 is what I think phase 2 is going to be about. It will definitely sell. It'll be really great, and that'll be their Mandalorian for the thing. And by the way, when they do 1313, you can actually you can phase out the Wolf and Cub, right? You can really just phase that out because you'll get a substitution in for the same type of style stuff. And then you can just fill in holes, and then start making your way back. If you're asking about the Old Republic stuff, the more they start going down this line and the more stuff they release in the regular storylines of canon, Old Republic seems further and further away, unfortunately, if they ever do it. Unfortunately, that seems like it's becoming more and more of a pipe dream. It doesn't seem like it's going to be a reality.
That's true. I mean, with a more popular Mandalorian, this kind of current like time frame is, they're not gonna spend that. Why waste that card now? They don't have to.
Yeah.
Do the Old Republic explaining like the first Mandalorian Jedi?
That's hopeful. It would be
I'm
nice.
sorry. That guy's making me laugh. I can't put that up on the screen, but that's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but it's funny. You guys need to stop on that stuff. It is for the last time. It is Sabine and Ezra. No other combination is going to work. I don't care what your fan fiction is. I know that it's going to start coming in fan fictions. There's been lots of
50 Shades of Grey.
Hey, this isn't Star Trek. Okay, look, this isn't Star Trek. There's no Spock here. We don't create romantic fan fiction between Spock and people. Okay, all right. What did you ask about, Jen?
I don't know what.
I don't know. Yeah. All right. On that note, oh, if you aren't reading that new Thrawn series, pick it up, man, and make sure you get 4s. We talked about that on Modern. There's some cool characters in there. I can't wait for that too. But so then Thrawn's in your next series too. You get to go into there, and then phase 3, you get the Yang Wars, which will be cool. I mean, that's eventually what. If this works out well, let's cross our fingers, guys. Let's just really cross our fingers, because if we can get to Yang, like Vong Yang. Who wants to correct me on how I'm mispronouncing it?
Yuuzhan Vong.
It's on Vong. Yeah, that's it. You got it right, Jen.
Say them all. You're right. Well, at least once.
Yeah. So if you can redirect that, I mean, that's epic. And then hopefully,
would that happen before Rey's story or after? Would you have them out in the outer part, holding them off?
So if it's in right. So right now, Thrawn. If you do Rebels and you push them out there, right? Like they could find that portion of it. Yeah. That would be going on currently, right now. Kind of. I mean, it could be within the span. So it would be currently. So then you'd actually have them trying to stop they just need to find so many more, like where they stop the books. You would just have to find it would take too long, right? Like you'd have to stop a couple more enemies coming in before they get to the big reveal of who it is. So you could lead that to that's a huge rabbit hole. So you could technically lead the Ezra portion of it going on current from probably where Empire all the way through the current right here to start them coming in at the Rey thing. So now that Palpatine's gone, the next big baddie becomes the Yang Vong. Say it again, Jen.
Yuuzhan Vong.
Very good. And then you've got baby Ezra. Then you got baby Ezra Sabine, and combined with baby Kanan / Hera / and then you get what's his name from the video games, and then they're the new Force people that are going out there and going after it and trying to stop them. Because then you get the Sith thing where they do planet. That's in 3 more rabbit holes. Put them up 3 more. I'm giving this episode 5 rabbit holes. All right, look, let's call them out in the chat. JJ, always good to see you. Obi-Wan, great stuff today. We love the comments. Kev, always a pleasure. Kev's got a new unboxing video. If you don't watch Kev's Collectibles, he gets some amazing books out there. It's very fun to watch. Make sure you watch that. Kev, I'll get to watching that video. I know you sent it to me. I've been busy. I'll watch it today, probably right after this. That guy, love it as usual. Scott, thank you. Dwayne, appreciate it. Who else we got?
Thanks for being here, Grizz.
Ready or die, good stuff. Yeah, Grizz trying to get me to laugh the whole time. Grizz, we appreciate it. Did we miss anybody? Grizz is great.
JJ Maxwell.
We got JJ Maxwell. JJ Maxwell is always good. JJ, great talk about the video games too, man. That's really good stuff.
JB, thanks for coming by. Discovery Bay Comics. Go check out his show. He's got great content.
Sorry for the guy. Hey, look.
Hey, George.
Yeah. Lopez, good talking to you. Thanks for the shout outs last night too. I appreciate it, guys. Hey, maybe we'll do something. Like I said, I'm trying to put something together for the holidays. I was so bad today. And I didn't even drink last night. If you watch the show, I was just tiredly sober. So, I'm going to try to send out the email link one more time. If you guys want to do like a holiday where we just chat it up, maybe at the end of this or something to that, or even if you guys don't want to get online, I'm not even thinking about doing it as a show. I'm thinking about just having the group, the core group of you guys that are in the chat right now with some of us just hanging out, talking Star Wars. Hit us up at our email, darkside.podcast. I don't know. It's in some of our videos. I'll definitely get it the next couple of times, get it down there. Make sure you check out Lobrix. Lobrix is great. Pete's toy thing. I know you guys do a lot of stuff. Pete's toy thing is crazy. Okay, it's really, really super dope and good.
I'm supposed to do that tonight too. After goddamn WWE, I gotta find time to film that because.
Well, if you were, I would feel for you if you're watching good wrestling, but since you're watching terrible stuff, I don't know what to tell you.
It's what's out there now. I gotta watch what's out there now.
Oh, you can always catch up. JJ, we're trying to move it around so that you can't watch the whole show at once. You have to go back and watch it again. Speaking of that, next week we'll be moving the show up an hour earlier. So hopefully, if we lost the 9 o'clock spot, guys. We had to give it back to awesome show, Vintage Voyage. If you want, oh man, they come back full force. Last week's show was
great content. I love that show.
Yeah. You don't even have to, Obi. Just go to the Tales from the Flip Side channel. We have all of our stuff out there. Go to videos for the last week. You'll see Pete's stuff. And then Pete, what do you have this week?
Well, I'm gonna do another. I'm gonna do a Marvel Legends, the retro, for my my toy thing this week. And then we got a Monty. I think we've got Kieran Gillen coming this week. And then that's it. I used to do vintage, but I couldn't keep up, so I let John Z and Ben C do that on their own.
It's really good. Vintage is really good. You know what was also good? Jen, what happened? That show you guys put on Tuesday.
Oh,
I mean, come on, man. I was bouncing around in my gummy juice too, man. I was going all over the place. I was screaming gargoyles. I think I don't know. Everybody who's our age, I think, was screaming gargoyles at that show. If you didn't watch Comic Book Women on Tuesday, go back and watch that. Real cool. Tons of nostalgia in there. Tons.
Yeah. We couldn't even finish. Like so many more like cartoons came up. And that's when we were like, oh man, we have to just pick a few of them and then just do it in sections because there's no way we can get through all of these. And then even like when I went back and kind of rewatched it, I'm like, oh man, we didn't talk more. Like you can go more in depth on each show. Man.
Are you guys going to do another show?
Well, we're going to do another part 2, but not this coming Tuesday. Is going to be, we're tagging it as like a different kind of interview with Frank Gogol since he's been interviewed so much. We're going to do something a little bit different. But like I think after that we'll probably do another cartoon one. Can
I make a suggestion? Can I just make a quick suggestion? Have Lucy like give us the Spanish version of every character too. Like get her prep on that. That'd be great. Aaron, good to see you. Thank you very much, Aaron.
And then when Anthony dropped the cereal question, man, that chat blew up. It was crazy. Everyone's like, "Oh, dude, awesome. Cereal and cartoons! Oh man, it was the best show ever!" It was awesome.
That was an awesome show. So I'm looking forward to it. We'll watch that on Tuesday. Like I said, Lobrix. Make sure you check our guy out, Leaky, with the Lobrix stuff. He's always got good. He does a mini review on the day of Friday or day after, whatever. It's only like 2 minutes. I don't usually watch that till after the show, so I'm going to sit down with my kids now it's after dinner already. You can hear them stomping upstairs. Watch that. What else did I have? Who didn't I plug? I plugged everybody, right? Did I plug everybody? Okay, cool. No. I won't be on Modern, but Modern Playbook's still going to have the rest of the Absolute guys on it, so that will be cool. Wednesday. Wednesday. So this Wednesday, we have it done. Leaky's got it finished for us. I took Leaky to his first comic book store in a while. We started digging. It's a great show. Enjoy on Wednesday. Once again, everybody, we really appreciate it. Oh, we forgot to mention Bird City. We appreciate it.
I'll get it.
All right. I'm done. Wookie.
All right, everybody. Here we go. Please go over and visit our friends and wonderful co-hosts and guests at Bird City Comics. Use the code DARKSIDE, DARKSHDE for 15% off at our Patreon. We love those guys, and please go see all their new exclusives. Great stuff. Please go visit the 4 Color Creations. Their stuff is amazing. He does amazing work. And if you have not seen what they're doing and you're not looking on his line, you're missing out. Those books are and stuff look just like that. They're so cool. Please go check out Comic Book Barricades. Save your books. Stop the dreaded spine tick from sliding down in that box. Go support them. They are another great book saver. Please go over and force push that like and subscribe. Then forget everything you heard about 1313. And then take and saber strike that bell so that you can be alarmed, because we're changing times from time and again, because you're going to go see all the other great content on this channel and be alarmed of the greatest voices and faces this side of the galaxy. Hit up the channel flip side. Check out all the great shows. Comic Book Women on Tuesdays. Every other show on every other night is all great content. And later tonight was Vintage Voyage. May the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.
Pete, thanks for writing that article on CBS about my video about the character that's coming up in
I love that stuff.
I really appreciate that. All right. Bet Club 1313. Oh, wait, I didn't end the broadcast again. Oh, geez.